If you regard yourself as a fairly modern, free-thinking individual, then you're probably not religious. You might even be atheist. And you might be interested in science. You might feel that you take your cue from science because you're a rational person. You've got pretty well developed common sense. Maybe you're like Richard Dawkins. He's somebody who vigorously campaigns against irrationality. I like him too. I admire what he does. I'm not going to have a go at Richard Dawkins. I think more people should be doing what he's doing. But it's interesting that we look to science for truth. Why should we do that? Well, there's some good reasons. One of the great things about science is it doesn't let us get very far with our own prejudices. If we've got an idea that the universe is such and such a place, so we've got certain theories about how things are, we can't just merely bang on about them. We have to prove them. And it might be that the evidence points otherwise. The evidence tells us something contrary to our most cherished beliefs. And a proper scientist will then have to drop his beliefs and adjust them in the face of the evidence. So this is the great thing about science. It's something which can challenge us on a fundamental level. So that's a definite plus. But again, let's get back to the idea of why we think science is going to take us to truth. We might say, well, look at the success of technology, of medicine. This surely is proof that science is true. Well, I'm not quite sure how being able to manipulate or control our environment is a measure of truth. What science gives us is very good stories for controlling our environment. There's no disputing that. I say stories, which is a slightly loaded word, isn't it? Perhaps we should say theories or models. Models. That's what science gives us. It gives us good models. I quite like the word stories though. We like to somehow think that models are more real than stories, but they've got the same reality status. A model's like a map. Are we ever going, but we never confuse the map with the actual terrain that we're walking on. But this is what happens when we start thinking of science as truth. We start confusing the stories, the models, the maps with reality. A map is a very good way of getting around, isn't it? But we're never going to confuse the map with the terrain. They're two completely separate things. There's a relationship between them, but the map is not the terrain. And so the idea that science is going to give us the truth is what is real, and science can never be any more than a model of what is real. Let's pursue this a little bit further. Let's assume science answers all its questions. I was mentioning a book by Roger Penrose recently called The Road to Reality, a complete guide to the physical universe. Well, let's just say that's the case. But what have we got? We've got a lot of equations, a lot of symbols. This is what science gives us. If all the questions of science were answered, what we'd have is a bunch of equations. equations which might give us tremendous power to manipulate our environment. But what is real about a set of equations? What's the reality there? Is that something that we can all derive some benefit from, some direct benefit, some existential benefit from? What's the truth? Where is the truth in a set of equations? It's a model. It can never be anything else. So people that look for truth in science, or believe that science is about the truth, are confusing the map with the terrain. And very often people like this are not scientists themselves. They kind of see science as some kind of modern priesthood, because the fact is many scientists are in fact religious. They could be Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever. They don't see their religion in any way conflicting with their science. The religion for them is a kind of truth, perhaps more truthful for them, more real for them than the science. So how about that? Hence, the existence of the objective universe, said to have been proved by these methods, direct sense experience, inference and scientific investigation, is false and unreal.